As the procession drove through Yuma, dozens of people stood outside to watch. Some people had their hands over their hearts, saluting the fallen agents. We're actually joined by one student who was in Yuma High School during this entire ordeal. Her name is Jacinda Casillas, and you're a freshman. What was going through your mind? Guillermo Regalado, senior and junior, father and son, have both been found guilty of first-degree murder, amongst other charges, in the death of their family member. Faculty here fears that the students don't grasp how much they stand to lose. That's why they're putting up these signs, highlighting the worst possibilities. A wildfire in eastern San Diego County has burned through nearly 11,000 acres of thick brush. This pack weighs about 50 pounds, and the recruits have to walk for 54 miles with it on. Rugged, abandoned, falling apart buildings like this one that make Bombay Beach a highly sought-after location in the entertainment industry. We so far have raised 469 turkeys, but guess what? We're not done. John, that hole was actually about 5 feet long, 1 foot wide, and crew members were hard at work extracting that hole today so they can ship it off to DC and figure out exactly what went wrong. A new look at the hole in the fuselage that formed mid-air in a Southwest Airlines flight Friday afternoon. Pictures from both inside the plane and out showing the extent of the damage. NTSB's Robert Sumwalt now says the hole is 5 feet long, 1 foot wide, caused by pre-existing fatigue.
We did find evidence of widespread cracking across this entire fracture surface.
The decompression happened about 18 minutes after taking off from Phoenix. Now come the next questions. How did this happen, and why wasn't it noticed earlier? NTSB's investigation continues in Yuma. They're extracting a piece of the aircraft surrounding the hole to be overnighted to a lab in DC. NTSB is also looking into maintenance records. This Boeing 737 had nearly 49,000 flight hours. Sumwalt describes it as a middle-aged plane, but says maintenance should keep it in good condition. The problem may be the location of the fracture, where the pieces of the skin of the plane meet.
It doesn't just come together like that. For redundancy, they make it as an overlapping joint. The fracture surface of this occurred along the lower rivet line on the inside piece of the lap joint.
NTSB isn't jumping to any conclusions. Right now, they're just focusing on this plane. But Southwest Airlines pulled 79 of its own planes, canceling about 300 flights.
If there's concern that it could apply to the entire fleet, we will make recommendations, urgent recommendations.
The airline, along with Boeing and FAA, are working with NTSB to figure out just what went wrong and how this can be prevented from happening again. Now, John, I'm actually told by NTSB members that there is a chance that the rules and regulations into maintaining aircraft can change, but of course that is all depending on the result of this investigation. Schools getting ready to bear the brunt of California's budget cuts. Community colleges across the Golden State calling this a statewide emergency.
We faced reductions over the last 3 years. We've faced recessions before, but not to the extreme.
Imperial Valley College stands to lose $3 million from the state. IVC's president says the school could be forced to cut more than 400 classes this fall semester. The ripple effect, turning away 1,500 students. An additional 1,700 would have courses cut.
We are it. We're the only facility in Imperial County. And if we have to start closing the door, a lot of students will not have access to higher education.
Most of these students are not aware, and we've been doing our best to make the students aware of all the situations that have been going on campus, of all the cuts.
That's why these signs are now posted around campus, making sure students know their education may be put on hold.
It's pretty sad to hear about that so many students will be getting cut, and it's just, I wish that everybody had the chance to come here and get their education and get their AA or their goals.
IVC's forced to make more drastic cuts. No summer or winter sessions, layoffs, tuition increases, and minimizing off-campus courses. Officials say this would cut $1.7 million from the local economy, forcing the entire community to deal with California's budget crisis. Young men marching in unity down from a 54-mile hike that tests strength, courage, and perseverance. The journey, called the Crucible, takes these young men on their final test to become a Marine.
It's a lot of hiking, obstacles, many types of obstacles, and then one very long hike at the end.
On top of miles of hiking, the exhausted recruits participate in dozens of obstacles, like the ones we were shown, at times unsure if they'll make it.
They fall apart a little bit, and then they've come back together as, you know, their weariness, because they're thinking that each obstacle they have to accomplish. But in reality, the teamwork and the discipline of the teamwork while they're actually conducting obstacles is what we're looking for.
Recruits now take their own initiative, while drill instructors look on instead of giving orders. More than anything, the Crucible requires teamwork for the journey that seems to have never-ending challenges. This pack weighs about 50 pounds, and the recruits have to walk for 54 miles with it on, with very little food or water on their last journey to becoming Marines.
It's really prideful, because, I mean, you've turned them from the timid, afraid young man that they were, who didn't really have an idea, and you've developed them, and you developed their military knowledge and their confidence.
Walking down this final hill, recruits know they're almost done boot camp. The Crucible ends with the Eagle, Globe, and Anchor ceremony, when the young men receive their precious emblem. For the first time in the last 3 months, recruits hear positive feedback.
We'll never tell a recruit this, but it's very emotional, obviously, for them. But for the drill instructors, it's just as emotional. I mean, every single time I did it, I had to fight back my own tears, because you're so proud.
These men, who've proven themselves so strong, often can't help but become emotional, along with the educators, given this unique perspective.
Those kids coming down from that Crucible hill, you know what I mean? Just the emotion and then just the kids holding on to those boxes and crying as the other kids were getting the stuff, you know, it was pretty meaningful.
And for the first time since boot camp began, these recruits can now call themselves U.S. Marines.
It's undescribable, man. Kind of like skydiving. It's just undescribable, man.